Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I'm back with another scrapbooking process video, and today is our February hashtag scrap 5. We had to use hearts, flowers, red or pink tags, and specialty paper on this layout, so that is my recipe I am working with. I'm still doing some Helen photos. I'll be doing some Helen, Georgia photos for a minute here because this is just the beginning of our little engagement vacation, if you will. We just took a long weekend to visit Helen, Georgia, which is only a couple hours away from us, which is nice. But I have a scrap of this leafy paper, so I thought it would be really cool to use it as a nice decorative corner piece and just layer up some leaves. We're outside here, and I just think the pinks and greens in this collection go really well with these outdoorsy photos. So I figured I would take an opportunity. I've had this scrap in my stash for a while to kind of cut it up and use it as a nice decorative corner. So I'm just trying to figure out what leaves I can salvage that are whole leaves to cover up the gaps here. But the larger piece I already took fits nicely in that corner. I just need to figure out some other pieces to cover up this gap here. But this is one of our first stops. On the way to Helen, Georgia, we always stop at the Nora Mill Granary. There's a really nice river behind it with this little waterfall. We always have to pick up some flour for my mom because it's her favorite flour. They have a lot of different like muffin mixes, pancake mixes, a bunch of stuff in there. It's such a cool little store. But it's always one of our favorite little beginning stops that we do. And next door to this is a little local coffee shop. So we always kind of get a 2-for-1 stop here. But I have these two photos. One of the goals for this vacation, other than just, go on vacation and enjoy ourselves, was to get some nice kind of engagement-y photos. We have an engagement session scheduled, but this was like right after we got engaged. We wanted some photos together and we wanted to show off my rings. So that's kind of, you'll see that a lot through the Helen trip. Me trying to get some photos with my hand in view. So that are these two photos, me and Marcus with the waterfall, and then you can see my hand on the railing there looking at the waterfall with my rings. So I just thought it was a really sweet little couple photos. I wanted to put them together, and I love the way these papers look with it. I'm kind of tucking some foam up beneath the tips of the leaves so there's a little bit of dimension, especially the leaves that are layered on top of the larger piece, because I want you to see those layers and really get the look of all of these leaves piled on top of each other, and that it's not just one piece. And then I decided I would flip the page upside down, and instead of have that corner in the bottom left, I would have it coming down from the top. I thought this was really cool. It kind of looked like the trees overhanging the river or something like that, but I really like the way this leaf pattern looked coming down on the corner from the top. And now I'm just pulling in some scraps that kind of coordinate. Again, I'm pulling in anything that's kind of pink or green or has this leaf pattern on it. So that's pretty much my goal. You can see I pulled in the specialty paper from this collection, which is that butterfly paper, but it's actually not the specialty paper I ended up using. I was really excited when I saw that on the recipe list because I was like, oh great, I have an excuse to use this butterfly paper that I haven't really used this month that's for this collection. And then I ended up not using it. So yeah, you'll see what other specialty paper I use instead. But I decided to do this torn detail. I was looking back at some of the pages I did the first time I used this collection, and one of my favorite pages was a page where I kind of did a torn chunk through the middle of the page and had the butterfly paper behind it. And I was looking for inspiration to use this butterfly paper, thinking that would be the specialty paper, but decided to go this route instead. I had a scrap from the cut apart sheet, I believe, or maybe it was just the smaller paper pad of this same floral. So I decided I would do this cool torn detail on the page and have a peekaboo showing through the middle of the same pattern. That way it's balancing the flowers on the top, but it's a cool little surprise, and it adds some texture too. So I decided to go that route instead, and then I just decided to back that so it all stayed together nicely. But I'm planning on having my photos branching up from here, so it kind of covers that gap that I had from that scrap piece of paper. And then I decided to pull in some more of this leafy paper to map my photos. So I'm trying to get a lot of mileage out of this leaf and use it different ways, but I don't think it's too overwhelming by the end. I think there's enough of it to where it feels balanced and cohesive, but it's not too overwhelming. And I think that it kind of helps I have this kind of simpler green background, that it doesn't end up too busy. But I'm going to go ahead and map both of these photos in this leafy paper. And I think I also go back and do a matte of white as well, just so there is some distinction between the matte and the background whenever they do overlap. So I'm going to map my second photo. But I just love the way these papers look with outdoorsy photos. I wouldn't think of One Canoe 2 Willow as like a camping type layout or collection, but it goes so well with these outdoorsy photos. I've really enjoyed using them for this adventure. But here's some white paper, so I'm just going to map these photos on white as well. Just a skinny little border, but enough to where you can see the distinction between the first matte and the background. So I'm going to get that down, and then I'm going to pull in some more scraps. There's a couple other papers with this kind of leafy pattern, so I want to make sure I try and use some of those as well. And at this point, I think I'm still thinking about using the specialty paper from this collection with the butterflies. But the farther I get on this process video, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to use that. So yeah, but so far I kind of have introduced pink. There's some pink in these florals, the leafy paper. So I kind of have my pink there, but I definitely want to pull in a pattern paper that is mostly pink just to really make sure that one is covered. And then I'll incorporate a floral sticker, but it's of these same leaves. So I don't know if you can count that as a floral or not, but I counted that as my flower element because it was a potted plant. So hopefully that's okay with everybody. I tried to incorporate a ton of leaves and botanicals to kind of cover that, even though it's a calathea and not like a florally planted plant. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, there you can see it there. I think it's so cute. And I've been having a hard time using it, but on this page I'm just like, we're using the calathea leaves, we're using all of them. So I decided to take a pink pattern paper and cut a tag because a tag was also on my recipe. That way I really have my pink and my tag covered. So I'm just putting a white hole reinforcer on there and then threading some golden white twine through the tag. And I think that's a really nice background for this little potted plant here. I think that looks really cute. I needed something behind that sticker so it didn't blend in with the background, which is this very geometric paper with those same leaves on it. And then I decided just to add some kind of texture, something kind of different. I would round the corners on this more geometric floral. So that I'm just doing that detail there with my Becky Higgins corner rounder. And then I think that layer will go behind my photos. I'll have my tag and my little potted plant. And then I think I'm still doing some more paper layers before I'm done here. But I like how it's coming together. And so far I have 3 of my 5 recipe items. I still need to incorporate the specialty paper and I still need to incorporate hearts. So I didn't think hearts would be that big of a deal because I put hearts on everything and that's always a nice finishing touch. So I'm really not worried about the hearts. I can wait and do those at the end. But I really do need to figure out specialty paper, what I'm going to do. I'm just trying to play around here with the placement of my tag, trying to decide if I want the hole up far enough so you don't see the background paper through it or tucked down so you only see the background paper through it. But I really didn't want the edge of that paper to be seen through the hole reinforcer. And then since I introduced that pink with the tag, and because it's a recipe item, I really wanted to use this pink pattern paper more. So I decided to, it was kind of in an awkward shape, but I decided just to embrace it. And I tore it into 2 pieces. I'm going to tuck them to the left and the right of the photo to branch out a little bit horizontally. I kind of have this long horizontal bit with the torn detail on the page, so I just wanted to emphasize that a little bit but not cover it up too much. So I'm just tucking these bits on either side, and I decided to do corner rounding on the top of those as well. The bottom edge of this pink paper is already torn from the previous page I'd used it on, but I think rounding the tops of that pattern paper looks super cool. So you'll see that in a minute here. Just rounding the tops only, and I think that looks super cool. I'm really enjoying the different corners here. So I have some torn edges, some rounded edges, I have some square edges, and then this is where I pulled in a separate specialty paper. It is some text print vellum, and it's been in my stash for ages. I thought it would be really nice to have as a layer just because it's some simple text and it's vellum, but I haven't used it in a really long time. So I was just looking for some other specialty paper because at this point I don't think the butterflies will look great on this page. I'm sure I could have figured out a way to do it. But I know I have all these leaves. I know I'm going to incorporate hearts, so I didn't really also want to incorporate butterflies. So what I decided to do was tear the edges of this vellum. So again, you get that texture and it kind of takes off the plain edge of this vellum. So it's just the text. And then I'm just going to try and layer the bulk of my layers over the kind of open part of this vellum. I didn't want any of these really big text words to show. I just wanted kind of the smaller text. So I'm just trying to figure out how to do that. But I just thought it was such a sweet final layer, and you can see the green pattern paper behind it too, and I just think that looked really nice. But yeah, I'm trying to not show the large text print, so I'm just going to use a little bit of it here so you see the plain, the smaller text. So I think that was a nice way to use specialty paper, and that's been in my stash forever, and I have a whole nother sheet of it, so I'm glad I got some of it used up, so happy about that. There we go. And again, just tearing it. I don't know when I'm going to use that extra scrap, especially because I do have a whole nother sheet of it, but I can't throw it away. So it'll be in my stash again. I think we are finally going to glue everything down. I know I want some journaling. I know I want my title. I still have to get hearts on here, but so far we're doing pretty good on our scrap 5. Just going to glue that down. And I'm trying to figure out what I do next, if I go for the title or if I go for the journaling. I'm still looking for more layery bits, but I'm pretty sure my layering is done. I'm happy with my paper layers, so I'm just trying to figure out now how to finish out the page. But I have this whole open area to the left here on top of the photo that needs something. It's looking very plain up there. And then I'm thinking maybe journaling along the bottom of the page because there's that open horizontal bit all the way across the bottom. So we'll see. I'm just going through my ephemera really quick to see if there's anything else I want to use, but I really don't think I add anything else. I do go into my stash and pull out, again, these tile letters. I've really been loving this month. I think it goes really well with this collection. I didn't have enough to spell out my full title, so I pulled in some smaller gold tile letters to kind of finish it off, but this is the Nora Mill Granary, so I'm just having granary in this larger pink font, and then on top of that I will have Nora Mill. That way it all reads together. You get the whole title and a kind of fun little mix and match title too, even though they're all tile letters. I kind of like that there's a mix, and there is some gold foiling on here in a couple of the layers, but you really don't see it that much. So I do like how the title kind of pulls out a little more of that but not overwhelmingly, so that's nice. I'm going to get the Nora Mill down, and then I think that's my title. I need to do some journaling, and I still have to get hearts on here. So I don't know if I mentioned it, but this little floral potted plant, I did pop up on some foam as well. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, so I'm thinking about it. But I did go through my epoxy or enamel shapes, and I have some hearts here that are kind of aqua. And I thought that looked really nice with these colors, even though I really don't have aqua on this page. There's some really nice light green that I think it's complementary to. So I decided just to use a bunch of these aqua hearts and throw in some pink enamel dots from the actual willow enamel dots. And together I think that adds a nice finishing touch, and it's kind of fun with the hearts and the circles. I think circles kind of look like the hearts are bubbling up, and I just think that's really sweet for an engagement type theme. And then I'm just doing a little bit of journaling here on the bottom. It says we had to stop here to pick up some of my mom's favorite flower and see the water. There will be another layout. I don't know if it's exactly here, but we go to the coffee shop next door, so I am going to scrapbook that as well and probably mention it. But we went back to this water to drink our coffee after we picked it up. But here are the close-ups. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Make sure you play along and follow everyone else playing. I will link them in the description. Thanks. Bye.